like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the wake up, get out the sheets. We came for one man, forget that peace. You take the west side, take out the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the
I hear them chatting the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear them chat with the boys, man so tough, but man's keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pine, if you wanna touch man, please use caution, 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 stop that.
We did request Smoke Machine for that opening segment, but we're told to kind of rein it in a bit. So we're going to try and get that across the line for the Sydney event. But thanks for everyone for joining us. Really excited to bring Data Wars to you today. I'm Mitch Long, PhD's National Head of Strategy. And as you would have seen from the screen behind me and the opening video, we all know that data is perhaps one of the greatest challenges we all face in how to use data in the industry and as marketers and media professionals. And that's simply because the possibilities with what we can do with data are near limitless, right? You know, we know that there's so many different ways that we can use it and have fun with it and be more creative with it or purposeful. But at the same time, just because we can do something, we have to ask ourselves, should we do something? And of course, in the immortal words of Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Now, I'll just get the clicker that I forgot to get. When we think about data and the debate, you know, this is a debate that we need to keep having as an industry and revisiting. And that's because, you know, it is one that really spans two different spheres, effectiveness and ethics at the same time. On the one hand, you know, are we using data in a way which is improving the effectiveness of marketing? Is it helping us, you know, drive greater growth for brands, greater sales activation? Is it helping us strengthen and deepen the relationships consumers have with brands? But on the other hand of the equation, is it ethically right? Are we, in the long term, rebuilding and strengthening trust between brands and consumers over the long term? And at the same time, are we also using it in a way that strengthens the status and the value of our own industry's craft out in the greater world, in society, and in culture at large as well? When we think about how data is typically used, a lot of the time in marketing, it's perpetuated in personalized ads. So you all have seen them. We use data to tailor messaging to the unique needs, interests, and identity of every unique individual. But should we be doing that? And that therein is where today's debate lies, personalized ads. Do personalized ads do more harm than good? So this is something where I'm going to put it to you, the audience. Obviously, if you can scan the QR code up on screen, I want you to give me a hell yes or a no way to this question. You can also access it via the QR codes on your lanyards and go to the Data Wars segment in the itinerary. It's question 1, so don't move on to question 2. We'll come to that later on. So if we can see the poll on the live screen, please. All right, so we have our live results coming through now. So do personalized ads do more harm than good? It's looking like 60%, 62%, no way, roughly. Any more for any more? Has anyone kind of submitted their votes? We're going to call it, closing out. So we've got a 62.7%, 63% shift to no way. So by this statistically robust sample size of the Australian media industry we have here today, we have declared that personalisation does more good than harm. It doesn't actually do more harm than good. And I want you to keep that in mind, because what we're actually going to do is we're going to bring two industry powerhouses to the stage to actually debate that very question today. And their challenge is to challenge you to change your mind. So today you'll hear two very compelling arguments, and then what we're going to do is we're going to revisit this poll and see if we can actually shift the audience. So if we keep in mind that we're roughly at 62% towards no way, if that goes up, no way wins. If it goes down, hell yes wins. So this is not a debate where majority wins, it's a debate where influence wins. Going into the format for today, Data Wars is waged over 3 rounds. So the first round is where each debater will come on stage. They have 5 minutes to make their case. They've been tasked with doing 10 slides. Those slides will be timed to 30 seconds each, just to keep things interesting. They did give me a look on the face that said, what the fuck, when I briefed them on that. But give them some support because there may be awkward silences, some stumbles along the way, but that's all part of the entertainment, in my opinion. I think it makes it more interesting, maybe not for the people who are experiencing it. Then we'll move into round 2, where we have a 1-minute rebuttal. That's free form, so that's the takedown, the sand in the eyes. They'll grab the chair, obliterate their opponent once and for all, and then we'll return back to you for round 3, which is a vote again, and you'll be asked the same question. Do personalized ads do more harm than good? And see who has actually swung the audience in their favor. So who are our debaters today? I'd like to introduce the first debater to the stage, the one and only Director of Strategy and Insights from Nine, Toby Boone. Please welcome to the stage. I wouldn't want to cross him in a dark alley, but he's going to be up against the one and only PhD's National Head of Digital, Gemma Dawkins. Please welcome her to the stage. All right, we've got our 2 debaters. They're keen for a fight. We'll move on to round 1. Toby, we'll start with you if you'd like to take the lectern. You've got 5 minutes, as we discussed, timed, and your time will start after the timer. Good luck, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
The question you're being asked today is, do personalized ads do more harm than good? Now, the other side is going to try and convince you that yes, they do. That on reflection, all things balanced, personalized ads are harmful. Now, to me, that sounds a little extreme, a bit of a strong position to take. And what I'm going to do is convince you that, in fact, personalized ads, an internet advertising, marketing phenomenon, actually do more good than harm for brands, for marketers, and for consumers. Let's start with the benefits to marketers. Data underpins almost every aspect of digital marketing, enabling marketers to better understand individual customer attributes, behaviors, and intent, and to segment audiences to personalize communications. More personalized advertising means less wastage and means marketing budgets work harder, delivering more effectiveness for brands. Research from Boston Consulting tells us that brands that lean into personalization are growing revenue 2 to 3 times faster than those that don't. The same research found that done well, personalization can deliver 5 to 8 times on ROI. But let's step back and take a look at what personalization delivers for our industry at large. With the global marketing-related data market valued at over $52 billion US, the pursuit of personalization in advertising has driven incredible creativity and innovation. Many of the businesses which are setting the agenda today, from global giants like Google, Facebook, and Amazon, to publishers, to agency trading desks, to DSPs, have built their business models around advertising personalization. Without that, our industry would be less efficient, less innovative, less diverse, and employ fewer people. That sounds like more good than harm to me. But let's zero in on perhaps the most important group for this debate, consumers. And looking closely at how consumers like you and me truly feel about personalization is vital to this conversation. Empowered by the digital age, consumers are increasingly demanding a more personalized service and experience. A McKinsey study found that 71% of consumers expect companies to deliver personalized interactions, and 76% get frustrated when this doesn't happen. But that's not to suggest that we should embrace untamed, unrestricted personalization. Whilst relevance ranks amongst the list of things consumers want ads to deliver, personalization at the expense of privacy, ads that feel too targeted, can be a negative. So getting the balance right matters. The Harvard Business Review found that if consumers dislike the way that their information is shared, privacy concerns outweigh the benefits of personalization, and purchase intent can drop by between 17 and 24%. But treat the intimate details of people's lives with respect, and then the benefits are clear. In fact, consumers reward brands that get personalization right in advertising. When it comes to purchase, repurchase, and recommendation, almost 80% of consumers are more likely to support brands that personalize their shopping experience. When it comes to understanding how these consumers truly feel about personalization when it's done well, those numbers are breathtaking. So what does doing well look like? Well, marketing has always been about reaching more potential customers, requiring reach at scale. But that doesn't rule out a degree of personalization. Both marketing theory and consumer privacy expectations suggest that data should be used to increase relevance in mass marketing, not to hyper-target. Personalized mass marketing thrills and delights consumers by creating greater relevance without being too targeted. Using broad segmentation that have been built with consumer expectations at heart instead of hyper-targeting niche audiences at the bottom of the funnel will deliver on all fronts. Now, to deliver for consumers, we must be mindful of their expectations and treat them with respect. We should avoid targeting using sensitive information, stop following them all over the internet, and dismiss the relegation of personalization to short-termist, bottom-of-the-funnel strategies. If we follow those steps and use personalization of advertising to increase the relevance of mass marketing, consumers will experience greater relevancy, a shorter path to purchase, and enhanced experience. Now, where is the harm in that? Through personalization, marketers see more growth, more sales, and better engagement. Our industry has benefited from greater efficiency, innovation, and creative thinking. But the data used for personalization isn't some nebulous cloud of information. It represents people, individuals like you and me, which is why our voice is so important on this question. Does personalization do consumers more harm than good? No way. With more relevance...
And that's a timer. Did you have one last statement to make, Toby?
The last thing I'll say is that when we listen to the consumer, we know that they reward brands that deliver on personalization in advertising, and it turns out the consumer is always right. Vote no way.
Thank you. So as you would have heard from the delightful air horn, time's up. Gemma, it's your turn to take the stage. And don't fuck it up.
Look, I'm going to start off by saying that I'm a digital marketer, so no one loves targeting more than me. But exploiting data that people unknowingly leave behind in order to follow them around the internet and create ads that are just for them, I don't love that. And in fact, I think it's pretty harmful to a brand and to a person, and here's why. Personalization is not ethical. It erodes trust, which is no wonder, really, when our data sources are full of inaccuracies, and ultimately, it's not an effective marketing tactic. It won't surprise those of you that know me that I'd whack out my favorite quote, just because we can doesn't mean we should. And 83% of people agree with me, citing that personalized advertising is unethical. And here's why. Sam and Colt spoke earlier about how much bias exists in our industry, and nowhere more so than in algorithmic decision-making. Personalization really relies on that. What it does is it profiles through machine learning. So that makes assumptions based purely on the most basic of demographic or behavioral data. So without consistent auditing, we have to question really how ethical is it to make a decision about whether someone is showed a message or not based on their predicted life stage or their inferred gender. And secondly, collecting and storing this data raises a whole heap of questions around ethics. Questions like, should we be able to use data to create personalized campaign experiences for politicians? These and many other ethical questions are becoming commonplace in popular culture. I'm sure you've all seen The Great Hack, and I'm referring there to the Netflix documentary, not the recent Optus data breach. And all of this really erodes trust. People don't trust advertisers anymore. Their trust in us and our brands is depleting year on year. In fact, marketers are the second least trusted profession in Australia. We sit behind journalists, real estate agents, and even MPs. And why is that? It's because people don't want to feel exploited for their data just so that we can personalize an ad. More than 50% of people feel really strongly about this when they were surveyed by Ipsos. And not only do they not trust us, but they find us creepy. And is it any wonder when we follow them around the internet using their name on packets of vitamins for absolutely no reason whatsoever? I mean, seriously, let's just take a second to appreciate the bonkers nature of this ad that I was served. So that covers the should we personalize portion of my argument. And if you don't agree with my feelings on ethics, then you certainly won't be able to ignore the proof in the pudding on whether we even can personalize effectively. So most of the time, I'm sad to say, that our data sources are horribly inaccurate. Last year, researchers from the Melbourne Business School tested the accuracy of third-party data sources, and they found that in gender targeting, we are right 42% of the time, and in age targeting, we are spot on 4 to 44% of the time. And recently, HP actually replicated this in one of their campaigns. They looked at the millions of dollars that they spend on reaching IT decision makers. And of those millions of dollars, only 14.3% of that budget actually reached an IT decision maker. 14.3% of that budget. And one look at my Google Ad Preferences Manager will explain why. So according to this data source, I'm a vegan. Yet there's me last week enjoying a steak. So imagine the wasted ad dollars that we in this room could have spent hyper-targeting me with personalized plant-based products whilst I chow down on my rare T-bone. So this is Google as well, and if we think about the data sources, Google have much more reliable data sources than most other publishers who are relying on aging third-party cookies. So with such awful data sources and our dramatically increasing non-working media costs, is it any wonder that personalization doesn't even work? So what we know that personalization does do is it drives higher engagement. But what we know in this room is that engagement does not equal brand growth. So on the chart on the right there is the correlation, or I should say lack of correlation, between click-through rate and ROAS. So whilst my opponent here can show you charts and demonstrate how personalization has improved media metrics, there's not a single example of how personalization improves long-term brand building. And that's because we know that brand building grows through saliency, and what personalization does is it dampens that salience. Showing up differently to each single individual goes against the very nature of brand building, which is building long-standing cultural meaning so that brands can be distinctive and recognizable. And these are factors that we know contribute to salience and ultimately to brand growth. Demonstrated perfectly in this quote. There has never been a successful piece of personalized creative in human history. The biggest songs, movies, and ads all speak to universal experiences that resonate with everyone, everywhere. Disney is one of the most profitable studios in history precisely because it invests in creative impersonalization. So now you all know that personalization absolutely does more harm than good because it's not even ethical, it erodes trust, the data's rubbish most of the time, and when it isn't even effective enough to grow brands. Gartner predicts that 80% of marketers will abandon. I'm going to carry on because he did. Okay. Gartner predicts that 80% of marketers will abandon personalization by 2025, but I know that by the end of this debate, it'll be a lot sooner than that.
Oh, vicious. Well, Jem, if you just pop a squat there, we'll be back with you in 1 minute. But that brings us to round 2. So you've heard the initial arguments, some very compelling cases made, but round 2 is really where we have our rebuttal, or what we call in the biz, sudden death. So this is where we want them to be ruthless, grab the chair, no holds barred. We'll start with you, Toby. Go for the jugular, just awesome. Your time starts in 3 seconds.
Well, I don't know about you, but she almost had me. You know, I'll own it. Our industry has not always done the right thing. We've not always behaved in the best way. But I refuse to believe that our industry, this group of people here in this room, represents some unethical, greedy group of people with no respect for consumers, no respect for privacy, exploiting our clients and damaging brands. I simply don't believe that because, as the MFA tells us proudly, we are the changers. And what we do is we change things for the positive. If I don't get your votes, hopefully someone from the MFA will vote. Don't be distracted by flashy arguments and even flashier suits. I'm only saying that because I'm so jealous of it. Don't be distracted by flashy arguments and even flashier suits. Listen to the consumer. And the consumer has told us time and time again that when it comes to relevancy, that when it comes to personalization, they will reward brands that deliver personalized experiences. No way.
Gemma.
My opponent has shown you that personalization delivers good campaign results, but that's not what we're here to debate today. We're not here to debate whether personalization is a good marketing tactic. We're here to debate whether it does more harm than good. And what I've shown you is that while an increased click-through rate might be great for some people in this room, overall, it outweighs the bad that it does to the consumer. People don't like personalization. They find it creepy. And I also want to touch on one of the things that you talked about in terms of efficiency for the people in this room. That was one of your arguments you made. Anyone who says that personalization is efficient has clearly never tried to set up a naming convention feed. So I also just want to end by saying that it's absolutely no surprise that people arguing against personalization are all doctors and professors in this field. Professor Karen Nielsen-Field, Professor Byron Sharp, Professor Gemma Dawkins, and those arguing for it have a vested interest in selling us the personalization dream. So I ask all of you to vote that absolutely hell yes, it does more harm than good. Otherwise, I'll be targeting you tonight with our data promo, data wars.
All right. Give them a round of applause, everyone. Can we bring them back on stage? And now the time's come for us to vote again. So we'll go back to the QR code, or if you've still got it open on your phone, this is question number 2. If you think you've been persuaded towards no way, obviously vote for Toby Boone. If you think Gemma has it with hell yes, give her a vote as well. Can we bring the results up on screen, thanks? We'll see how this is. Oh, we are seeing a shift. To hell. So, it looks, yeah, okay. I'm going to give people 5 seconds. No? Everyone's voted? Yes? Sounds like it. We have a winner. Hell yes. Gemma. Well done. You're not fired. And also, can we extend our applause to Toby for putting out one hell of a fight today? And I guess as we discussed, data is something that we need to keep having this discussion around, what we should do, what we could do, and the difference between the two. We know that we have a stake in how this conversation continues to evolve and how we guide those discussions with clients. So as leaving you with those parting words again, with great power comes great responsibility, and good luck with your own conversations with clients. Thank you.